Hi, this is Mr. Tomlinson. Today we're going to be talking about binomial probability, but first, pause the video for a few minutes and have a look at your expected values here and try and remember what happens when you are adding random variables, when you are subtracting random variables. The biggest thing that people struggle with is to try and remember that even when you're subtracting random variables, you have to add the variances, meaning the standard deviation of a subtraction of random variables is always going to have a bigger standard deviation than the two standard deviations of the original variables by themselves. Anyway, you can pause the video and just have a look at that if you need to. Now, today we're going to talk about Bernoulli trials, geometric and binomial probability distributions. There are two requirements for a Bernoulli trial. Bernoulli means it is binomial, okay? That is, there are two outcomes, success and failure. Sometimes you might be saying, what is the probability of success, and be using failure as a success. So just be aware of what the way a particular problem reads, that what is being defined as the probability of success or failure. Okay, and the P would be the probability of success, and then usually 1 minus P will be the probability of failure, and we will use Q to represent 1 minus P. And secondly, the trials themselves are independent, okay? Independent. That is like a coin toss. One trial does not affect the next trial. So we can't just assume that everything is independent, so we got to be careful to check to make sure that our trials are independent when we're using binomial probability. Now, in some cases, and we'll learn more about this second semester, as long as your sample is small, less than 10% of the population, it's also okay to proceed. And we'll talk more about this in second semester. So first we'll talk about geometric probability. And suppose Mr. T can make a paper ball into the trash 62% of the time. What is the expected number of tries it will take him to make his first shot? Okay? And the way we calculate that is the mean of a geometric distribution is mu is equal to 1 over p. So for this geometric distribution, probability distribution, where the probability of success is 0.62 and Q is 0.38, okay, then we have 1 over 0.62 will represent the mean of a geometric distribution. Now, to be clear, geometric probability means what is the probability of your first success coming on the nth trial. Okay, so what is the probability of the first success coming on the nth trial? So here we're looking for the mean, and that's 1 divided by 0.62, which is 1.613. So it would take me about 1.613 shots on average before I'll make my first shot. The standard deviation of this will be the square root of 0.38, which is Q, divided by 0.62 squared, all square rooted. You can calculate that, which is about 0.994. So finding the mean and standard deviation of a geometric probability is this. These formulas are not on the formula sheet, so probably something you ought to know. The rest of the stuff we'll have in this unit, I believe, will be on the formula sheet. What is the probability that Mr. T will make his first shot on his fourth try? Well, the probability that our random variable is going to happen on the fourth try would be 3 failures in a row, which would be 0.38 to the 3 times 0.62 to the 1. Okay, so that would be the probability that I will make my first shot on my fourth try. This is geometric probability. So anytime you hear a probability where what is the probability of your first success coming on your nth try, that's geometric probability. Now, on your calculator, you can do this with the geom PDF function. I'll go through this in just a second later in the video. Okay, and then this problem says, I am rolling a 6-sided die. What is the mean, standard deviation, and probability of rolling your first 5 on the 10th roll? Okay, what is the mean probability and standard deviation of rolling your first 5 on the 10th roll? Pause the video and see if you can try that. So finding the mean is 1 over 1/6, which is 6. And that would be, I would expect to have to roll the die 6 times before I get my first 5. And sigma, the standard deviation of that would be the square root of 5/6 divided by 1/6 squared, which is 5.477. Now, what is the probability of rolling your first 5 on the 10th roll? Well, that would be the probability of rolling something other than a 5 9 times in a row times the probability of rolling a 5. Okay, so whatever that calculation comes out to be, some really minuscule small calculation or probability. Okay, let's get into the calculator a little bit. So you'll see here I've got Geom PDF, and if I do menu probability distribution Geom PDF, that's going to give you this screen that's going to pop up. In that probability, let's say we want to calculate the probability that our first success is on our 10th trial. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to plug in for that P 1/6, and for the X value, I'm going to plug in 10. That will give me the probability my first success is on my 10th trial. The first time I roll a 6 is going to be on my 10th, or my first time I roll a 5 is going to be on my 10th roll of the dice, and the probability of success is 1/6. So I'm going to plug that in and show you the result. And here are the results. So Geom PDF, when I plugged in that 1/6 and 10, I got this probability. And just to show you, when I use the math calculation, I did 5/6 to the 9th times 1/6 to the 1, and I got this big value. I hit Command Enter or Control Enter, and that gave me the probability, which is the same. Just so you could see that that calculator function will do a lot for you. Now, Geom CDF will calculate the probability your first success comes on before or equal to a certain number of trials. Okay, so if you use a Geom CDF, this would calculate the probability that your first success comes on your 10th trial or before. So Geom CDF is everything before whatever that trial is, including that trial. So that's kind of an interesting also key that you can use, the Geom CDF, which will allow you to calculate the probability your first success comes on or before a certain trial. Anyway, that's it for this part of the video, and on to the next one, binomial.